"Coming with me," said the lonely rancher to the woman beaten for giving birth to 3 daughters. In the shadow of a crumbling adobe hut tucked behind the skeletal remains of a windmill sat a woman. Her name was Lila. She wasn't always broken. Once she had laughed with her whole chest. Once she braided her daughter's hair while humming folk songs her mother taught her. Once she believed love could be gentle. But that was before the beatings, before the whispers in the village turned to shouts, before her husband Tomas came home drunk one too many times and blamed her for the drought, for the dead cattle, for the 3 girls who tumbled from her womb like blessings he refused to see. "She's cursed," the elders muttered. 3 daughters, no sons. The gods have turned their backs, the women clucked, turning away as she passed. Even her own mother, once so proud, whispered, "Maybe next time, Mija. Pray harder." But there was no next time. Tomas made sure of that. He broke her wrist the first time she cried out in pain during labor with the 3rd. He broke her spirit the night he threw her youngest, barely 2, into the dirt yard and told her, "Clean her up. She's your failure." Lila didn't cry anymore. She moved like a ghost through her own life. She cooked. She swept. She held her girls close at night, whispering stories of faraway places where daughters were treasured, where women weren't blamed for the cruelty of men or the silence of gods. She never told them about the bruises or the nights she lay awake, listening to Tomas snore, wondering if she could smother him with his own pillow. She didn't, not because she feared hell, but because she feared what would become of her girls if she vanished into prison, or worse, if Tomas turned his rage on them. The rancher's name was Elias. He rode into the village once a month, trading cattle hides and salted beef for grain and medicine. He spoke little, smiled less. His face was carved by sun and solitude, his eyes the color of storm clouds just before they break. He lived alone on a sprawling, windswept ranch 30 miles north, land so vast and empty it swallowed sound. His only companions, a border collie named Juniper, 2 aging horses, and the ghosts of a wife and son lost to fever 10 winters past. He didn't come to the village for gossip. He came for supplies and silence. But that day, the day he saw Lila, he didn't leave in silence. He saw her first at the well. She was drawing water, her back bent, her shoulders hunched like she was carrying the sky. Her dress, once blue, was faded to gray. Her hair, tangled and dull, hung past her waist. One eye was swollen shut. A fresh cut split her lower lip. Elias didn't flinch. He didn't look away. He watched as the other women pretended not to see her, watched as children pointed and giggled, watched as the village mayor tipped his hat to Elias but sneered at Lila as she passed. Something in Elias's chest cracked open, not pity, recognition. He knew that look, the hollowed-out stare of someone who'd buried too much and still had to keep digging. He finished his business in silence, loaded his wagon, paid in coin, nodded curtly. Then, as Lila turned to walk back to her hut, Elias stepped into her path. She flinched, took a step back, clutched the water bucket like a shield. He didn't speak right away, just looked at her, at the bruises, at the fear, at the fire still smoldering beneath the ash in her eyes. Then he said it, quiet, firm, unshakable. "You're coming with me." Lila didn't move, didn't breathe. "You what?" she whispered. "I said," Elias repeated, slower this time, "you're coming with me." She glanced around, half expecting Tomas to leap from the shadows, half expecting the sky to split open in judgment. "Why?" she asked, voice cracking. "Because you don't belong here. That's not an answer." He studied her. "Because I've got room. Because you've got girls who deserve more than dirt floors and broken bones. Because I'm tired of being alone. And because no woman should be beaten for giving life, especially not 3 times. Her throat tightened. She looked down. "You don't know me. I know enough. I'm trouble. So am I." She almost smiled. Almost. "What about Tomas?" she asked. Elias's jaw clenched. Let him come. She didn't pack, didn't say goodbye, didn't even go inside the hut to fetch her daughters. She just turned and walked to Elias's wagon, her bare feet kicking up dust, her heart hammering like a trapped bird. He helped her climb in, didn't touch her more than necessary, didn't speak again until they were beyond the village gates. Then, quietly, "We'll come back for your girls at dusk, when he's drunk, when the village sleeps." She nodded, swallowed hard. "Thank you." He didn't say "you're welcome." He said, "Hold on." They rode for hours. The land stretched before them, golden, endless, indifferent. The sky turned from violet to black, stars pricking through like pinholes in a blanket. Lila didn't speak. Elias didn't push. Juniper, the collie, rested her head on Lila's knee. Lila, startled at first, slowly, tentatively, stroked the dog's ears. Juniper sighed as if she'd been waiting for this moment too. When they reached the ranch, Elias helped her down. The house was small but sturdy, stone and timber, smoke curling from the chimney. Lanterns glowed in the windows like welcoming eyes. Inside it was warm, clean, quiet. He showed her to a room, simple, with a quilted bed, a wash basin, a window that looked out over the hills. "Yours," he said. She stood in the doorway, trembling. "This," she turned to him. "Why are you doing this?" He met her gaze. "Because someone should have done it for my wife." And that was all he said. At dusk, as promised, they returned to the village. Tomas was passed out in a chair, bottle dangling from his fingers. The girls, Marisol, 7, Rosa, 5, and tiny Esperanza, 2, were huddled together on a thin mat, sharing a crust of bread. Laya slipped inside like a shadow. She didn't wake Tomas. She didn't say a word. She just gathered her girls, kissing each forehead, whispering, "We're going somewhere safe," and carried Esperanza in her arms while the older two clutched her skirts. Lias waited outside with the wagon. No one stopped them. No one even looked. Back at the ranch, Elias lit every lamp. He heated stew, set out bread, poured milk into tin cups. The girls stared, wide-eyed, silent at the bounty before them. Then Marisol, brave and bold, asked, "Are we in heaven?" Lias choked back a sob. Elias crouched beside her. "No, Mija, but you're safe, and you're home." The days that followed were quiet. Lias healed, not all at once, not without nightmares, not without flinching when Elias moved too fast or raised his voice, even in laughter. But he was patient. He showed her how to mend fences, taught the girls to collect eggs without crushing them, let Rosa ride Juniper around the yard while he held the leash, let Esperanza help him churn butter, even though half of it ended up on the floor. He didn't ask for thanks, didn't ask for anything, just showed up, every morning, every night. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching fireflies blink over the fields, Laya spoke. "I never thanked you," she said. "You don't have to. I want to." He nodded, looked out at the horizon. "You're welcome." She hesitated. "Why did you really do it?" He was quiet for a long time. "Then, after my wife and boy died, I thought the world had nothing left for me. I came out here to disappear, to let the land swallow me whole." He turned to her. "But then I saw you, and I saw your girls, and I realized the world wasn't done with me yet. Maybe it was giving me a second chance. Or maybe it was giving you one." Tears spilled down Lila's cheeks. She didn't wipe them away. "Thank you," she whispered. He reached over, took her hand, squeezed it, didn't let go. Years passed. The ranch flourished. Lila's bruises faded. Her laughter returned, bright and wild, echoing across the fields. The girls grew tall and strong. Marisol learned to ride like the wind. Rosa could fix a broken fence by 10. Esperanza. She sang songs that made the birds pause mid-flight to listen. Elias taught them all how to shoot, how to track, how to survive. Lila taught them how to love, deeply, fiercely, without apology. Together, they turned the ranch into something more than land. It became sanctuary, refuge, home. One spring morning, as Lila hung laundry in the yard, Elias approached. He held a small velvet box. She froze. He didn't kneel, didn't make a show of it, just opened the box. Inside was a simple silver band, etched with wild flowers. "I know it's not fancy," he said, "and I know we ain't young, and I know we both come with scars." He looked at her, really looked. "But I love you, Lila. Not because you needed saving, but because you saved me too." She stared at the ring, at him, at the life they'd built. Then she took the ring, slid it onto her finger, and kissed him, right there, in front of the girls, in front of Juniper, in front of the sky. They married under the oak tree that summer. Marisol was the flower girl. Rosa wrote the vows. Esperanza sang. The whole valley came, even some from the old village, heads bowed in shame, bearing gifts they didn't deserve. Lila didn't turn them away. She welcomed them, because she knew what it was to be broken, and she knew what it was to be rebuilt. Years later, when Elias's hair turned silver and Lila's hands grew rough with work and time, they'd sit on that same porch, wrapped in blankets, watching their grandbabies chase fireflies. Sometimes one of the girls, now women with children of their own, would ask, "Mama, how did you and Papa meet?" Lila would smile, and Elias would chuckle, and together they'd tell the story of a woman beaten for giving birth to 3 daughters, of a lonely rancher who rode into a village and said 5 words that changed everything. "You're coming with me." And she did, not as a burden, not as a project, but as a partner, as a promise, as a person, worthy, beloved, free. If you're watching this and you've been told you're not enough, if you've been blamed for things that aren't your fault, if you've been broken by hands that should have held you, know this: you are not your bruises, you are not your silence, you are not what they called you, you are the fire that refused to die, the song that refused to be silenced, the mother, the daughter, the survivor, the warrior, and somewhere out there, maybe not on a ranch, maybe not on horseback, maybe not even tomorrow, someone is coming for you, not to fix you, but to stand beside you, to say, "You're coming with me," and mean it. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please like, subscribe, and share with someone who needs to hear it. You are not alone.